Hi. Just for those who might not know me, my name is Andy Warner, minister of Bowral Presbyterian Church. Now, I mentioned in our church service announcements on Sunday that the results of our church survey have come in and that I would share with you some of what this survey revealed in regards to online church and getting back together physically as a church. Firstly, thanks to everyone who completed the survey. My estimate is that about 75 to 80% of those who would get the opportunity to complete the survey, that is the individuals and households that received the emails, or perhaps are part of our regular church. Well, that then at 75 to 80% should give us some pretty good idea of what you're all thinking. Now, as you all know, we are doing church online at the moment. The service made available through YouTube, just as you're watching this video now. The first question indicates that 75% of you either always or usually watch these services. The majority of the rest watch sometimes. And nearly 70% enjoy the services as at least good, with nearly all the remainder considering them as, well, filling the gap. Although a number of people are definitely ready to resume physical church, nearly 70% of you are at best hesitant or not ready. However, a fairly healthy number would consider joining in a gathering at church to watch an online service. Although the majority would still prefer to do that in their home or somebody else's home. Some of the elements that we have come to expect to be in a church service that in these days would be missing, that is no singing, praying aloud, it's praying aloud together, having to pre-register our attendance, or only being able to meet on some Sundays, well, it's definitely a deterrent to most of you. But if we did resume church, well, there's some flexibility indicated on start times, but only for the 2 morning service times that were indicated on the survey. One thing that is clear and will influence some of our decision making is that should people not be able to attend or choose not to attend church under the current circumstances, then there is an expectation that online church would still be available. 65% of you indicated this option as an expectation. So as we don't have the equipment, personnel or expertise to offer a live stream church, well, that will have to have a bearing on how we move forward. The suggestion of staggered services using the church and hall as outlined in question 9 of the survey, you might recall, well, basically with the latest COVID-19 update from the New South Wales Government and church offices, it's actually not an option. Because an option like that would require a separate ministry or worship team for each service, as the minister or those involved in one service cannot go from one service to another. So for the moment, that's off the table. And lastly, nearly 60% of you indicated that you'd be happy to be part of a team to help facilitate church happening. You know, teams like welcoming, ushering, cleaning, all those sort of things. So that is certainly good to know and allows us to plan knowing there will be help needed. Well, that help will be there, that is needed to operate under the COVID-19 safety stipulations. So where to from here? Well, there needs to be some discussion between the elders in the first instance. And then possibly a smaller and more precise follow-up survey that will give us numbers to work with for any proposed gatherings or what we might be able to propose to you. What that might look like from the survey, perhaps we might start by opening the church for those wanting to be together to watch our online church service. This will not only serve those who would be happy to meet in this way, but serve those who wish to wait just a little longer. But what it'll also do is prepare us for when we can start gathering as a church. In that way, we can ensure that we are doing the things necessary with a small service like that to make sure that we are doing the things necessary, we're upskilling ourselves to meet the requirements that we have now And we'll be learning as we go and being better prepared for when the restrictions are lifted even further. So how can you help? Well, start praying. Pray for our church. Pray for our leaders in their decision making. For our church family, to ensure that we are caring for each other in the best way possible. To open our hearts to what those possibilities might be. And to accept them and know that we head into this with change. We've just looked at the book of Ezra. Hopefully you've watched that service either earlier today or at some other point. There are two things that stand out from that book of the Bible that we can apply to ourselves and our church. Firstly, we see, as God works, that He is sovereign. Whatever is going on, He is in control, and He can use any people, whether they are His people or otherwise, for His purposes. And He can use a worldwide virus in the same way. And secondly, if God is sovereign, if He is in control of all things, why aren't we more like Ezra? What do I mean by that? Well, one of the things, when you read Ezra, you will see that Ezra prayed, and prayed earnestly, with fasting, lamentation, with praise, and asking God to lead the way. We need to be like Ezra and pray. And one of the things that technology has allowed us to do is to meet, as we have done for morning teas and Bible studies via Zoom. Please pray and give some thought about attending church prayer meetings using this technology to come together, as many of us as possible in this way, to pray together for our church moving forward in the circumstances that we've found ourselves in, to pray for each other and our community, and how we can serve God and get His word to more and more people. Maybe that just might be a survey question, a prayer meeting. Either way, please pray. Thanks for listening, and I'll be in touch with more news soon. God bless.